Well, my name is Veronica. I have 9 kids. I have 4 girls and 5 boys.
Welcome to the Love, Health, Prosperity Podcast. I'm Marcelo, and today we're going to go ahead and interview somebody who's going to give us some insights on something very special, something very important. And one of my things here on the podcast is to provide quality content that can help families, not only with mental health, but also with lifestyle and being able to do things that can bring the family together. And I think it's important for us right now to really focus on core values. One of the things is being able to teach our kids about empathy, about love, about respect. And not only that, but also be able to have people here in our community that talks to our audience, hopefully infect them with that good word. And right now, I think that this world is going through a lot of changes and our families are suffering a lot because there's so much negative media out there that's affecting them, especially when we don't have access to being able to see what it is that they see most of the time. So one of the things that I feel that is important to do is to be able to talk to people that will enlighten us and point us in the direction where we can create better families. And for that today, we have a special guest, and her name is
Very special.
Veronica. Very special, yes. Big round of applause to you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show. Why are you so special, though? You want to tell them why?
I'm not special. You're funny. Stop. Okay, well, my name is Veronica. I have 9 kids. I have 4 girls and 5 boys. We live in France. We're a family in mission in France. We were sent by the Pope out to places where we were trying to help out the church and just call people back to
Did I hear
practice their
that correctly,
faith.
though? Did I hear that correctly? You were sent out by who?
The Pope.
The Pope. Okay, so we're talking about the Pope, Francisco.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, alrighty. So how did that
Me and lots of other people, hundreds of other families that are willing to let go of their lives in Italy or wherever they're at, or here in the U.S. And give it all for Christ, to give witness to His love, to everything that He's done, because that's pretty much why we decided to stand up, to be a family mission, all of us.
So what exactly is a family in mission? Can you explain that to us and also talk to us a little bit about how that came to be?
Well, it would be super long if I told you the whole thing. I can give you just some short concrete experiences about what it's been like for us. We decided to get up, to stand up to be a family in mission for the Neo-Catechumenal Way, which is a ministry of the Catholic Church. And because we experienced a lot of amazing moments, concrete miracles in our lives that have strengthened us as a couple. We learned a lot of things about each other because we experienced a lot of suffering together. And it was at that moment that when we healed our relationship, when we started to forgive one another, and because we went through, I always say this, what you can possibly go through in 50 years of being married, I went through it, we both went through it in a less than 10-year span. So everything you can think of that went wrong, that could go wrong
In a relationship.
that was us.
Lots of challenges.
Plenty. Financial, you name it. Infidelities, addictions, and just the everyday problems and struggles that you have getting to know each other as a married couple. So basically, it is because of those sufferings that we realized one day that we were able to enter into this new reality where we love each other more profoundly than we did when we thought we were in love. Because part of growing in your faith is experiencing the same forgiveness that Christ has for us, which means being able to forgive absolutely everything about each other and entering into God's will and getting to know Christ on a more profound level. And through the suffering that we experienced, that's how we ended up rebuilding our marriage. So it is through those experiences that we decided to stand up. It took us a while, it took 5 years. It's formation. It's growing.
Was it easy to get the family involved for you?
Well, we asked them. We have to keep in mind that, God gives us free will, that we have a choice. We always have a choice. And so we asked the kids and if they were, what they thought about leaving, and it was something that we felt, and they said yes, they accepted, and
This was how long ago?
This was in 2018.
2018.
I mean, we had stood up 5 years prior to that, so it's not something that you do just. I mean, anybody can just go and do right away. I mean, you have to be really certain about
being able to take on the role of being on mission, a family in mission.
Right. Which doesn't involve exactly, back in France, for example, where it's the church and state, is separate. It's not that we're, knocking on doors or we're doing, any kind of, thing like that. It's through your life experiences concretely, because you have the receipts, as they say. That you can give witness to God's mercy, to God's forgiveness, and to announce to everyone that God loves you the way you are, and He died on the cross for you, and that's it. That's what it is, and it's through just your everyday. It's how you live. It's not necessarily that you're out there, just doing whatever. It's through one person at a time.
So this takes a lot of faith, though, because you had a family. I mean, you had a life here. You had the kids in school here. You had every single activity here. And then one day you just said, okay, I'm moving. You have your job here. Your husband, he studied at the university at UTEP. Yes. He ended up becoming an engineer. Good for him, because he's very dedicated, very smart.
He's awesome. Yeah, he's our champion.
He's the champion. Yeah, exactly. But then you're working here. I mean, he's working here he has his family here. He's got stability here. He's got everything here. And then that's it. We're going to take this leap of faith.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Walk us through that.
Well, I guess because the way that we saw God was working in us, and just that calling that we felt to do the same thing, to share what we experienced, which is that with God all things are possible, because we left everything. We left our family, the material thing. Well, that doesn't matter. But being able to leave our brothers or sisters and that life behind, and knowing, and it's not that you think that God's going to provide at that point. I mean, the truth is that God is always going to provide. So we didn't doubt what we were doing. Like, yeah, during you're a little scared, you're hesitant, all that good stuff. I mean, that's completely human. But after everything that we had experienced, we knew for a fact that God was going to provide for us. And sure enough, and when we got there, and it's kind of difficult to find an apartment. So we had one of the families, they're Italian, they found us a house without, you have to have, I mean, it's just a long process to get a home in France. And not only did they find it without what's it, the guarantee,
With the contract.
with the con, and but they with the other families that we didn't know either, because there are 8 other families now
In France?
in Grenoble doing the same thing that we did. They left everything, and together, we do everything together. We celebrate the Word, the Eucharist, and our experiences, and they all got together, furnished our house, gave us everything, helped us, supported us, and that small community is what helped us. It's through the community that we got through the community here that helped us get over there, and the community that was waiting for us, that we were able to stay. So even then we experienced a lot of miracles because it was hard to get a visa, and you have to, there's a lot of paperwork involved. And, God always just, he gave us a job. He gave us a job that we needed. We studied French. We went to university. We always have to renew our visas. Excuse me. And so little by little, God was confirming our place in France.
Was it hard for you at the beginning? I mean, talk to us about how you were feeling at the time, you and your husband and the kids.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're there. It's a culture shock, especially because we were used to the sun.
What part of the country were you in, or are you in?
What is it? Central East? Is that Grenoble? And we're an hour away from Switzerland, 2 hours away from Turin, 2 hours away from the south, from the beach, from the beaches, 3 hours away from Paris on the train. So we have access to everything, and it's really cool because God is always He always gave us what we needed. He to this day, every day, and we're in a city where the revolution started, the French Revolution. All the plans were in Vizille. It's a little city there, and where all the planning took place, and so we battle against that revolutionary spirit, which is and it's through one person at a time, that we do what we do, and through our life experiences, and just
being able to proceed with that, because the motivation. Do you find yourself in time sometimes where you just like, I don't know if I can continue doing this?
I was like that. I mean, at first, yeah, like you were asking me. At first it was, of course, you're doubting. It's a different culture. The sun doesn't really come out, and winter lasts a really long time, and it's always dark, and you're just kind of there. You're just like, what's happening?
The environment is totally different then.
Yeah, it's totally different. But it was through, again, it's always through that suffering. You enter into your cross, which is your reality. You enter into your reality that this is where I'm at. What am I going to do? Am I going to do something about it? And am I going to just torture myself, or am I going to stand firm in what I believe and know that God is going to continue helping me out, and I'm going to get out of this one too? And that's kind of the mentality that we've had from the beginning. Is just knowing that at the center of everything lies Christ, and through that every door opens. And if the door doesn't open, well, that's okay, because He's going to open another one. And so I think we take comfort in knowing that if it didn't happen, or if we run into certain problems, or difficulties with the kids, or anything like that, we know that for a fact that God is gonna help us get through that next point. He's gonna always help us get to the next point. And that's how we did it. That's how we do it. It's how we do it. You do it with a smile. And yes, it's hard.
It's faith.
It's hard, and it's not easy. And yes, you do have all those doubts, but I guess knowing that after everything we experienced, being over there, and the sun, or the little things, and it's there's
how has
small
this
in comparison.
How has this experience helped you out in your relationship with your husband, with George?
Well, I mean, it changed I always think, I always smile
Uh-huh.
because I love talking about how it helped him grow. It helped us grow as a couple because he had some, he had his problems with addiction, and I had my own because I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, but in reality, of course I was. Of course, I was contributing to the negativity, with my pride, with not being able to forgive, with maybe being passive aggressive, or you don't realize that you're doing those things at the time because you're angry and you always think you're right, and that's not true. And so I think that we just got to a point to where you discern. That's what God gives you, discernment. And he helps you understand that, okay, there are certain things about myself that I need to change in order to help him. And not always being with, well, you is always you.
Attacking each other.
Yeah, no, you can't survive like that. So, through those moments is when I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? I need to change my approach with him. And because, we were having a whole lot of problems. We had lost our house. We had lost our car. We had it was just, our marriage was destroyed.
This was here before you left?
In El Paso. Yes.
Okay.
So we were destroying each other on different levels. And I think that we just, through the community, because we go to San Judas, the Neo-Catechumenal Way there. We're from the first community there. And our community helped us. Helped us to see a lot of things we weren't seeing. Our catechists, we had a lot of support. So it was through the church that we were able to, and through the Word of God, that you're able to apply it to every moment in your life. Because you're like, okay, this is what God is telling me right now. And being able to listen to what God wants you to do, rather than being like, no, well, this is gonna work. I'm right. It has to be done this way. Like it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And we just started to dialogue better.
A lot of communication.
Forgive one another. That was essential.
Has it been difficult? Was it difficult for you to forgive back then? Or was it an issue in your relationship for both of you guys?
Forgiveness? I mean, it was hard. It was hard for the first couple of years because you're like, you're being told that, oh no, it's in society. You're like, you're dumb. You should just, why do you suffer? Why suffer? Why suffer?
Why don't you just live a cozy life here?
Yeah. Just, just move on and do whatever you want. And that's kind of the mentality, is we don't like to suffer. We don't like to enter into our cross. And that's not what God is calling us to do. He's all of us who are baptized, we're called to announce the good news, and through these testimonies, through these concrete facts that we experience, that we share, that we can tell you, hey, with God, all things are possible. And it's important to forgive my husband the way God forgives me. Because if I don't, what am I doing with my kids? What are they seeing in me? So it's essential that I do, I practice what I preach.
Absolutely.
And so not so much with, throwing scriptures, but living them. So
walking the walk, like they say.
Yeah. You gotta live it. You gotta live the Bible. And that's how we do it. That's how we do it over there. And little by little, even over there, you're also, it's another set of difficulties that you face, finding a job. We had no furniture, found furniture, but even when you're down, sometimes the next day, like, God provided us with a car. God provided us with a house, because we live in a small apartment and we're kind of a lot.
How many kids again?
9.
9 kids. And the oldest is?
She is 24. She's going to be 24 on the 24th. And her name is Marcela. Giovanna is 22. George is 19. And then we have a 8-year gap. And that's kind of the gap where we were just kind of struggling with one another. And then we had, I opened up myself to life because I was close to life. And we had Judah. He's 12. Berito is 11. Ezra is 9. Valencia We call her Lenchi. She is 7. She just turned 7.
Just turned 7.
And Jonah is 5. And Levi, he is 8 months.
8 months.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So.
Alrighty. Wowzers.
Yeah, so it was cool.
Okay.
It's been awesome, man. I can't complain.
I love it.
God
I love
is
it.
good.
So I mean, it helped out with your relationship with George, communication, a lot. So how has this huge move helped your family as a whole and the kids?
Well, it's helped us a lot because sometimes when you think mission, you're thinking you're going to, preach to the masses. And that's not the case because we worked on ourselves. We had no one to turn to but one another because we didn't know anybody. And I can't go to my mom's house and he can't go to his mom's and the kids can't go with their friends. So we saw a closeness, and we see also that having the community helped the kids especially to understand that, that their place was there, that even though it was hard for them as well, because they had, they had a hard time with the language and they had a hard time just with everything. So we would reconvene at home, and we'd do morning prayer. I mean, on Sundays, we do morning prayer. We talk about what went on that week and what we need to work on, or, and through like the gospel of that day, we'll share with the kids, we'll explain it to them. And that's important, transmitting the faith to the kids like that. And so that helped us a lot as a family. Also, just the busyness. I mean, it's just more relaxed. So yeah, we have the kids in sports and in music and all that, but we give priority to the things that matter, and which is that, because without your faith and without God in the center, I mean, life is already hard with God, because you're always confronted with different things, and without God, well, it's even harder. Mm-hmm. So, that's essential to transmit that to the kids. And I think that,
and they're really receptive to all the things that are taking place.
I mean, not all the time. I mean, that's the thing. It's there isn't a perfect family, or that your child's always gonna listen. I mean, come on, mm-hmm. They don't. Yeah. They don't.
Yeah, we know.
But yeah, I know. But see, I think that's the beauty of parenthood, is that you can always work on a better way to communicate with your kids. Mm-hmm. If one way is not working, then you find another. And if you have to take them hiking, then you take them hiking. So you find different ways to nourish them with love and also with a hard truth, because sometimes we have to be like, hey, you know what? This is what you're doing wrong, and we got to call you out. Mm-hmm. So you can't sugarcoat it either. It's important to be honest, to be direct, and to correct with love. And, mm-hmm. and that's what we do. And I see that it's helping each one of my kids. Each one of them has had their own suffering, and but they've come out of it stronger. And so
they don't cease to impress you. I mean, what has been one of the biggest accomplishments that you've seen them go through in recent times? Recently,
well, actually, we had an audience with the bishop, the kids from here, from the U.S. They had a pilgrimage in New York, mm-hmm. and they went to go. They gave their experiences, and it was really amazing to hear both my kids, 2 of my kids, give their experience on their faith, and again, how through their sufferings they found Christ, because especially my son George, he had a really hard time. He was having a hard time learning in French, and this is the teachers are a little bit old school. They can be a little aggressive. Uh-huh. So
not understanding.
At least for him, I can't speak in general. I can't. But at his school, it was really hard for him, and so he didn't talk. But it's funny because, he had a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and he shared his experience about how that's where, at that moment, that, even though he was having a hard time in France and he couldn't speak, and it was his pride, right? That wasn't letting him, well, I mean, I'm sure he's gonna
overcome.
He did it. He did it. And listening to him give his experience to the bishop and how he was able to, through prayer, he gave an amazing testimony. So that was neat. That was really cool. I was like, I'm not a terrible father.
Absolutely not.
You're down.
You're an awesome mom. What are you talking about?
It's normal. It's normal. We all do that. We all do that to ourselves. But no, it's cool. It was really cool to hear him just give his experience. And Giovanna too. She just I don't know, just her vocation too. She stood up for itinerancy, or one of the things she feels a strong calling, and she's nourishing that calling as well. So she also shared that with Bishop Sites. So
nice.
Cool.
Oh, the bishop from here.
Yes. Oh, I was here. Sorry, I didn't mention that.
All right. Okay, because kind of going back and forth.
I know.
Okay. Well, that's cool. But yeah, they're definitely impressive. I mean, having to go to a different country and learning the language.
Oh, going into high school, having to make friends again. Woo!
You going to the market and having to buy stuff for the family.
No, well, I had my husband, so he did a lot. He learned, he speaks it better than I do. He's great. He's awesome. And going back to him, he's the one that's leading the charge over there. And when one of us is, feeling like having a hard time, we help each other out.
When you say, because right now you said he's our champion. I love that. What makes him the champion?
What makes him the champion?
Yes.
He's. I know how you could feel the heart.
The love. Yeah.
You know what? He's just grown so much, and it's funny because I saw that during those dark times that we experienced. One day I was like, okay, this guy just needs, like a kid. They need a toy. They need to get distracted. So I signed him up for school. I signed up for UTEP. I did all the financial aid. I was like, hey, all you got to do is pick your classes.
Yay. Can't be that hard.
Right? And it's cool because slowly, he's like, oh, okay. All right. I could do this. And like, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. So, he was staying up late. He'd stay up till 3 working on, he's a mechanical engineer. Mm-hmm. And he graduated 5 years later. I did everything else so that he can finish. So, that kind of support.
Yeah.
He was working.
You held the fort.
Yeah. I held the fort down. He worked full time. He went to school full time, and we still made time to go to church, to do everything we needed to do, because that was essential. And so I guess he's our champion because I see how, like Lazarus, mm-hmm. he was resurrected. Mm-hmm. I wanted a new husband, and I wanted to get a divorce, and I thought I could do better, and my plans were better. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go to one of these. I actually went to one of these little tech schools. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna divorce, and I'm just gonna be me and mm-hmm. do whatever I want. And no, God has other plans, and He has better plans, and that's a cool part. That He resurrected my husband like He did Lazarus, and He gave me a new husband. He gave me a new relationship and a new marriage. And so yeah, I mean, that's why He's our champion, because I have a new awesome husband that just gives, and he's the one that gets things done for us, and we just mutually support each other and correct each other, and that's why
a loving relationship.
Yeah, he's awesome.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Well, look, 30 minutes went by.
It did.
Was that quick?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this interview so far?
Cool.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about. So, words of encouragement for those that are listening right now, because this is a very special podcast. I like it because you're giving an awesome story, and I think people need to hear this story. And I'd like for you to give them also some words of, maybe advice or encouragement. That's your camera right there, by the way.
Oh, it's like Hot Ones.
Yeah, there
5
you
seconds.
go. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I think most importantly that God loves you, and with Him all things are possible. That it's important to find Christ, to find that intimacy with Him, to enter into your reality, to answer His calling, because we're all called, and that's it. This is how in San Judas, the neo-catechumenal way. That's how we found Jesus, and every day, everywhere you go. But it is through the neo-catechumenal way that it helped us. I mean, that's what it is.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. And I just want you to know that I'm extremely proud of everything that you're doing and your family.
Thanks.
And your husband. Such a cool guy.
Yeah, he is awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the podcast today, sister.
Thank you for having me.
You were awesome.
Starbucks time.
Yes. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Love, Health, Prosperity podcast. We hope that the content was able to inspire and encourage you to do some good, maybe. We don't know. But, hey, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you guys next week.